This is the road to 2019. Every Friday night we gather here to take a look at all the issues that could have a major bearing on that big election coming up in 2019. Now today we're going to take a slight break from that because obviously it is the usual good news for the government, which we've been hearing on various fronts, bad news for the government, especially everything that's happening with farmers and what the issues are around that and major political developments. But there's been another fresh political storm that really seems to have broken today on the entire question of surveillance, where new rules seem to have come out where the state can actually surveil computers, smartphones, the government can seize your data. It's possible that the Home Ministry seems to have given 10 central agencies rather sweeping powers to be able to intercept communications and to check that. That immediately led to a big attack from the opposition. Rahul Gandhi going on to call the Prime Minister an insecure dictator. The government immediately has hit back and said this is nothing new. To some extent, all of these rules and the powers had been given even during the UPA in 2009. We're going to have a special discussion around that, and we're also going to be joined on the question of loan waivers and a number of other issues by Bhupen Baghel, the new Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, a little later in this program. But I'm just going to start off before I welcome the rest of my guests. Very special guest joining us now, Anand Sharma of the Congress Party, who's really been leading the charge on this. Mr. Anand Sharma, Congress has come out, all guns blazing. Rahul Gandhi tweeting that the Prime Minister is an insecure dictator. But you've heard what the government's reaction is. They are saying this is nothing new. You had similar rules in 2009.
Well, what's new is that the sweeping powers have been given without any safeguards. 2009, there was a background after the Mumbai terror attack when central agencies were given the powers. But if there was the threat to the national sovereignty, integrity, security of the state, but for reasons to be recorded in writing, in case of the central government, by the central government, it had to be the Home Secretary's orders, and the powers were given even to a joint secretary, but everything to be recorded in writing. It was not, a wide sweep of all the citizens of the country without recording the reasons in writing. In case of the states, if the state agencies were involved, then the state Home Secretary alone was authorized to record. So without approval, suo motu, in an arbitrary manner, the agencies could not move in. But if you look at the notification of yesterday, those safeguards have been dispensed with. There is no mention that it has to be for specific purposes of national security, integrity, sovereignty. That's not there. And we have to remind the government, I know Arun Jaitley responded, but we were not allowed to have a full say because it's a government-sponsored disruptions which are then unleashed on us. This notification is subsequent to, does not precede the Supreme Court judgment on this matter. The Supreme Court has spoken about the right to privacy, equating it with a fundamental right, in fact, the right to life. So I have to be convinced, and the citizens need to be convinced, that how come the Central Board of Direct Taxes want to see the SMS messages or WhatsApp messages and decrypt what have been exchanged between a husband and wife, father and daughter, or father and son, or mother and daughter. How come that they are interested? There has to be specific reasons recorded. You have to identify. This gives such wide powers. It's draconian. Unless and until the inbuilt safeguards are there. Earlier thing what the government is referring to, they can't hide the truth behind that. There were inbuilt checks and balance. So those checks have been dispensed with.
So
if
Mr.
they
Sharma,
have
I'm
not
just
been,
going to tell you what Mr. Jaitley,
Finance Minister was claiming, then okay.
Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly. So I'm just going to read out to you what specifically Mr. Jaitley said. He said, certain agencies always had the right to intercept data. Authorization given to these agencies were brought to law under the UPA government in 2009. He then said, we cannot gain access to anybody's phone or data unless it is related to national security. That's what Mr. Jaitley says. So he says, and when Ghulam Nabi Azad said that, it's not, doesn't say national security anywhere, Mr. Jaitley said it is mentioned in section 69. So how would you respond to that statement coming from the Finance Minister?
69 mentions that. That's correct. But 69 also mentions that it has to be an authorization. 69 also says that in each case, reasons have to be recorded in writing. It does not give sweeping surveillance powers. What yesterday's notification is, it gives a sweeping pass to 9 agencies and plus the Delhi police. And that would happen in the states also, 10 in all. And as I have mentioned, in 2009 you didn't have the Supreme Court judgment, but this was not notified in this manner. Those notifications have to be read with in a correct manner. What has been notified yesterday, there is no safeguard. There is no assurance. Who is authorized to give that permission?
So again, we've got an answer from the government
in writing.
Okay, so again, let me throw
It's
to you
not
what the
under one
government has said
ministry.
to get your
Earlier
response.
it was.
So what the government will say is, so we have had Ravi Shankar Prasad saying that the government is only regularizing interception. Those are the words that he used. And he said Home Secretary will be required to give his assent to it.
Listen, Home Secretary, they have not specified. It's the ministers have said subsequently. Anybody reading, a plain reading of yesterday's notification makes it absolutely clear is sweeping surveillance powers. And if that is the case, then they are not only invading the right to privacy of all the Indian citizens, but converting India into a surveillance state or a police state. And as I have said, I'm repeating, just for the sake of repetition, it's important that the Supreme Court judgment on this matter has to be borne in mind. Whether yesterday's notification is in conflict or in sync with the Supreme Court notification, that has to be carefully examined by the government. Yeah, and what is the timing? What has suddenly happened yesterday? That would be my question.
So is part of your concern...
Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad ji has said this. What happened on 20th of December?
Yeah, so is part of your concern, which on the first reading...
I'm losing your voice.
Yeah, I'm just saying, sir, would part of your concern be the issue that with so many different different parties now potentially having access, Intelligence Bureau, Narcotics Control Enforcement Directorate, CBDT, Director of Revenue Intelligence, CBI, NIA, Cabinet Secretariat, Directorate of Signal Intelligence, that therefore it becomes much tougher to manage the process. Lots of permissions going around, lots of various things being tapped by random people. Nobody ever is going to know what is happening and for what reason. Is that part of the concern?
Absolutely. Yes, Vikram, not only that, who will keep a tab? If few thousand or few hundred citizens certainly are being tapped into, monitored, with their computers hacked by 5 different agencies, who is going to keep a tab? Who is going to give 5 orders? Order has to be specific to the person or organization and specific to the agency.
Okay.
So I challenge the government to show me any notification of the past where such powers have been given.
All right. One last question, Mr. Anand Sharma. Let me just put it to you directly. During the years where the UPA government was in power, will you assure the people that you never did something like this? You weren't having extensive tapping, you weren't tapping people's phones across the board, because sometimes the even if there's one per agency who is supposed to do it,
it has never been alleged. You see, under the original Telegraph Act, these powers were there, but to be used only on specific authorization by the Home Secretary's orders.
Okay.
And when it was established, there was a bona fide suspicion that the individual or the organization are involved in anti-state, anti-national activities, criminal activities, terrorism, or money laundering, crime. So what is now? Why 10 agencies with no safeguards and no controls have been given this power?
All right. Anand Sharma, thank you so much, sir, for joining us with that perspective.
The explanation is not convincing.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us with that perspective. Great talking to you. All right. Let me now welcome all the panelists who are with us, Vineet Goenka and Sandeep Singh, both belonging to, well, right-wing thought, if I can put it that way. Pawan Verma joining us, senior leader of the JDU. Javid Shergill is with us here in the studio. Saika Datta is with us. Dr. Karnika Seth joining us from Noida. and Aarti Jaira. Thank you all so much for being with us. Okay, if I can just, start with you maybe, Vineet, your reaction to what you just heard Anand Sharma saying. Never before has it happened like this, and sweeping powers. At least Sandeep Singh, do you want to go first? Sweeping powers being taken by the government. We are heading for a police state where there's not one big brother but 10 big brothers.
It's to me, Vikram?
Yeah, Sandeep, why don't you go first?
Okay, it's not a sweeping power. If you look, actually, Mr. Jaitley said it very clearly that earlier law didn't specify which agency could. So anybody and anyone in the country could do that. If you remember the famous Neera Radia tape, nobody till date knows who actually authorized recording and how did it come out. So at least now we know these 9 agencies can record it or can have the access to the computer. And my second question is that why are people so worried? If I'm not doing anything wrong, anybody should, any government body can come and access my computer. It's like if I'm traveling on the road, so many vehicles, you don't run away looking at a traffic cop. You are worried only if you make a mistake. And that's a right of traffic
Actually,
cop to ask
that's
that
almost
question.
exactly the wrong thing to say. Hang on. One second. They're two slightly different issues. One is, if I'm doing something wrong, I would be worrying about the government snooping. But that's not the only concern. These days, people have privacy concerns, so that's a dangerous argument to use. I don't want the government or anybody else to read personal or private messages that I'm exchanging with somebody else, something I'm telling my family members, something I'm telling my friends. It's my business. That I don't want the government to be sitting and listening into everything, even if nothing is wrong is happening. So that's not exactly the right answer.
The law doesn't say that government is going to read husband-wife's message or boyfriend-girlfriend's message or those kind of messages.
Why not?
If there will be
They have
issue
the
of national
powers to do it.
security, then only somebody will be monitored. As rightly I was giving the example, the government traffic cop doesn't come and stops every car. If you are breaking a law, then only traffic cop will come and stop.
But there's a
it
slight
doesn't matter
difference.
who is inside the car.
Yes
or where
and no.
is the person is. No, you can come back that I was going to meet my wife and cop stopped me. It's not that like. It's not like that.
No. Wait. Hang on. Okay. Partially what you're saying is, so you're saying you will not get the authorization unless that's happening. If sweeping authorizations to tap start to come in, it's not the same. The traffic cop is stopping you because you're going down a road and you're speeding. Here, it could. What the concern is, there could be general fishing inquiries where hundreds, dozens, hundreds, thousands, lakhs of people's phones are being routinely tapped, and all sorts of messages are being read, which are really nobody's business. That, I guess, is partly the concern. But Dr. Karnika said, let me get you in to weigh in on that. What, to your mind, are some of the concerns in this?
Yes. Well, our country, we have a fundamental right to freedom of speech, and we have a fundamental right of privacy. Even though I would say that in case there is a national security concern, even though we have the powers, saying that, we have power of interception, the central government can authorize an agency to do so under Section 69 of the Act. Then despite the fact that there is a fundamental right of privacy, wherever security of the nation is concerned, there that takes precedence. You see, then there is no right of privacy of a criminal, right? So therefore, you have to understand it in the right perspective. Section 69 of the IT Act is very clear that central government has the right to authorize an agency for interception in only cases where there are national security concerns, threat to integrity of India, public order, and such situations only. It's not as if the government will go and snoop into everybody's businesses without having a tangible, reasonable, I would say, cause or a probe would not be initiated. It cannot be a fishing expedition in all circumstances. It just cannot be. It has to be supported by some evidence, some tangible reason of asking for a particular investigation, and based on that, permission would be granted by the Secretary of the Home Ministry. And the decision also is subject to review. It's not as if it's in the air that he decides. There are guidelines. It has no room for arbitrariness.
Okay, no room for arbitrariness. Aarti, the fact that CBDT, Enforcement Directorate, the entire lot has been given the powers, it's obviously also intended to be in other cases where it's not national security. I mean, CBDT is not going to necessarily be weighing in on matters of, it could potentially if it's some
terrorist who's
coming inside for whom some finance is there. But powers to 10 agencies makes you wonder whether it's a more generalized, well, are you talking to your tax, are you trying to dodge tax or something like that somewhere?
Yeah.
Which is also wrong, but the questions on privacy also do come in.
Sure. No, Vikram, there are two narratives that I'm looking at it politically, since we're talking about the road to 2019.
Well, because sort of distracted on the road to 2019
no,
by worrying about a police state.
But this is also part of it, isn't it? See, there are two narratives that the opposition is building up about the Modi government. One is that it's an uncaring government, therefore it doesn't attend to rural distress, urban distress, demonetization, GST concerns and so on. The other narrative that they're building up is that of a dictatorial, authoritarian state. This decision sort of feeds into that narrative. And that's why I can't understand why the government has issued this order, because there doesn't seem to be any clear provocation. After all, Anand Sharma said that the 2009 order came on the heels of that terrible attack in Mumbai in November. This doesn't seem to have been provoked by any particular event that has happened. So really, why has the government done it?
Okay.
And why
really
is it
interesting political
this,
point. That's a very interesting political point, and I'm going to turn to the political implications of this. But first, Saikat, because very few people I know understand the subject as much as Saikat does, just help us understand this now, Saikat. There were certain rules that were there earlier. There are certain rules that are there now. What exactly has changed? And this entire business of the Home Secretary having to sign off on that, what specifically does that mean? Just help us understand this entire issue now.
So, there's a lot of misunderstanding that's going around. Can the government snoop on citizens and does it have unfettered powers? Fact of the matter is, yes, it does, for various reasons, but not the reasons that are being cited. For example, the Union Home Secretary at the central level, at the federal level, and the Chief Secretary at the state are the ones who are empowered to sign the orders for interception. I filed an RTI a few years ago to figure out how many such interception orders come, and that will give you an idea of how unfettered powers they have. In a year, the Union Ministry of Home Affairs told me under an RTI application that 100,000 phones are routinely tapped, which translates into...
Sorry, wait. Tell me that again. I mean, let's get that out there. This is already happening.
Phones. Yes.
100,000
phones in a year
phones are being tapped.
Which only at the central level. Add to that, so what's happening...
300 a day, roughly.
Which comes to 9,000 a month, 300 a day. So the single man, the Union Home Secretary, has to sign 300 orders every day. So where is the application of mind? Where is the protection? Where is the safeguard? Now, what is the review mechanism? The review mechanism is again three bureaucrats, which is the Union Cabinet Secretary, the Union Law Secretary, and the Union Telecom Secretary. Now, the funny part is these three gentlemen or three ladies or whoever are there in the seat, they have to sit over a cup of coffee in a couple of hours, review these 300 or 9,000 numbers, etc. Now, add the number of emails which are under interception, and you're probably looking at that in a few hours, you have to go through, say, 8, 10, 12, 15,000.
Who's monitoring all of this, by the way? I'm just trying to figure out, is
the
there an entire
secretary.
army of people sitting in this thing?
No, just 3 people. Just 3 people.
No, I'm saying who's doing the monitoring of the tapped conversations?
There's nobody. What's happening is that...
So it's being tapped, but no one's listening to the tapped conversations.
Nobody's listening, etc. And the proof of that is that none of, if you go to the court cases, let's just take one category, which is terrorism cases. Look at the amount of surveillance that goes into as evidence, because ideally, if you are under surveillance, only 2 results. You are guilty or not guilty, which has to be proved by a court of law. Fact of the matter is, there's no surveillance material being introduced as evidence to prosecute any of those cases. So today, the big question arises that where is all that thing going? Now, the bigger problem here is that every government, and none of the politicians here will commit to this.
You were saying this has been happening for a while, it's not new.
For decades. And the problem here is none of the political parties want to address the substantial issues. I'll give you one simple example. Can today any of the politicians on this show, can they commit that they will bring the Intelligence Bureau under an Act of Parliament, they'll bring the Research and Analysis Wing under an Act of Parliament, bring NTRO under an Act of Parliament? I mean, will they commit to that? Because we inherited this from a colonial power, the British. The British in 1989, 1994 and 2000 have brought their security agencies under a parliamentary act. Here nobody wants to do that.
Here we seem to be going in the other direction. Pawan Verma, just in case you were wondering whether it was safe to start talking on your phone.
No,
If I understand Saikat correctly, he says that Big Brother is watching and listening, and to more phones than we can ever possibly imagine, but isn't really listening too closely because no one actually seems to be listening to all those conversations.
And I can scare you a lot more once we get an opportunity.
Okay, he's going to scare us a lot more as we go forward. He also says this has been happening for years.
I want to interject here 1 minute.
Okay, Pavan, hang on. Karnika is trying to urgently say something.
Asked to me.
Yeah, Pavan, 1 second. I'm just going to get Karnika in for a split second, then I'm going to get you in.
These are the
Karnika, what you trying to say?
statistics, and these, I want to say if these are the statistics of interception and they are not backed by reasonable evidence that there was a need for introspection, certainly they can be challenged. There's no doubt on that, but wherever there is a transgression of law from within the parameters, you are transgressing the law, certainly it is an actionable offence.
Yeah, but
however,
the question,
whether these have really been challenged is another question.
Karnika, how is anybody going to know their phone is tapped?
Yeah.
It can't be challenged, and I can prove that with another RTI that I had filed. I asked them that if there are any discrepancies, then please, has the monitoring committee of the cabinet secretary and the other two people, have you ever found anything? And I filed an RTI in the cabinet secretariat. Their response was, in the interest of national security, we can't even tell you whether they have found any violations. And I said, but I am asking you whether the law is being followed. They said, even telling you that is a threat to national security. So there's no way, then there is no judicial role in the law, which is why you can never challenge this.
Okay,
you won't even come to know.
Pavan Verma, you don't, at this point, you can't say for sure whether your phone is being tapped or not. But whatever you're saying out here is obviously being heard by the entire nation. Just, you've heard a lot of what's going on. Are you worried about this, concerned about this, satisfied with what the government has said?
Look, Vikram, let me sum it up for you. There are two binaries. One is the paramount imperative of national security, and the other is the sacrosanct right to an individual's privacy. Now, somewhere you've got to find the modus vivendi that allows both to be pursued. And my real worry is that, first of all, on the statistics our young friend was giving, I would venture to say, sticking my neck out, that a lot of tapping of phones is going on without authorization and nobody is the wiser for it. But even if that is the case, to institutionalize this kind of access to a metadata base without any oversights by courts or by a process of credible judicial or other mechanism review is fraught with possibilities of intrusion of privacy. Because look at section 69(1) of the Act. It just says that the government has to be sufficiently satisfied that it is in the interests of the sovereignty and integrity of India and in the security of India, the defense of India, and then it uses a word called public order. Now just juxtapose this. Sufficiently satisfied, who is going to warrant what is sufficient satisfaction? By whose criteria and whose standard? And what is the definition of public order? Is it defined in any way, or can anything be assumed to finally lead to a situation where public order could be threatened? We must all remember the dissenting judgment in the Aadhaar case of Justice Chandrachud, where he said even the Aadhaar poses a grave security to the privacy, liberty and autonomy of the individual. Now we have a situation where we have 10 identified agencies who have more or less unfettered access, and I cannot for the life of me understand why part of the 10 is the Commissioner of Police Delhi. You can have the IB, you can have the RNAW because there are valid threats to the national security. On the financial side, you can have the Enforcement Directorate. But on what count is the Commissioner of Police in Delhi there?
Okay, I'm going to see if anybody wants to hazard a guess on that.
There are many questions.
Jaiveer and Saikat are both trying to hazard a guess. Why Commissioner of Delhi?
No, it's not Commissioner of Delhi. Actually, it is that any interception and surveillance law, because law and order is a state subject, even the states have that power. So the power goes to the DGP of that state. So therefore, it refers to all the state polices who are also empowered.
Okay, Jaiveer, let me just get you in. And then Vineet, Just now, look, this is the road to 2019. I want to shift my attention back to the politics of all of this. But Jay, just wanted to ask you, as a result of all of this, I mean, Aarti said you're trying to paint a particular picture of the Modi government. Is that the reason why this is suddenly blown up into such a big issue today?
No, I think we don't have to paint any picture. Mr. Modi's own track record paints a picture itself. I think that this important point we are making is intent. Any object can be a purposeful tool in the right hand and a lethal weapon in the wrong hand. The government has a checkered and a notorious track record when it comes to respecting right of privacy, believing in right of privacy. They are addicted to snooping. Didn't they object? Didn't the Attorney General of this government says no Indian has the right to privacy? Their privacy as a constitutional right, as a concept, can't exist. That is the difficulty. Can this government be trusted with such a lethal weapon? Point number one. Point two.
Actually, can any government be trusted? Frankly, it's not just a question of this government.
Yes. Now the
law, the UPA government could be trusted.
Now the law answers that. That brings me to my second point. This is a dictatorial reaction to a democratic defeat which the BJP has faced. He came at the altar of Ghar Ghar Modi and 2019 defeat, sensing he's doing Ghar Ghar Jasusi. That's the real point. Number three, I want to ask you one thing. It says public interest. It says integrity, threat to India. 20th December is the law being enacted to protect public interest by having snooping all computer, or Mr. Modi's political interest? Is he threatened by voters of India? Why on 20th December? Number three, the point, a fact correction, it mentions Commissioner of Police Delhi specifically. It mentions the CBDT chairman. Imagine me talking to my brother on Skype in California or anywhere. The income tax chairman is listening to what I'm talking about. Actually, this is draconian.
Actually, hang on. That leads me to a very interesting point. Vineet, let me just throw this to you now.
No, Vikram, I want to come in here for a minute.
Yeah, just one second. Let me just get Vineet in, who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. Vineet.
Just quickly.
Yeah,
I'm just
coming to you.
I just want to make a quick rebuttal.
Okay, carry on very quickly.
No, I just want to say that it's not only
I just
about
wanted
this
to say
government.
something here.
In 2013, the previous government had rolled out a surveillance program allowing security agencies and income tax officials to tap phone calls, and that too was without oversight of court or parliament. So the tendency of governments to use the latest technology to be able to monitor and carry out surveillance of citizens without their knowledge in terms of interests which are very ill-defined, or can be justified to suit any slot that you think of. This has been a continuum.
Yeah, it is a continuum.
And the UPA must answer why the 2013 Act was brought in.
Okay, fair enough.
Can
I just get Sandeep in?
I just want to make a point.
Kandika, one sec. I'm just trying to get Sandeep in. Sandeep, one basic question though, which has to be looked at when we're looking at this entire issue is, he was talking about talking to somebody on Skype. Quite frankly, the minute everyone starts to feel that the government is sitting and listening into every conversation, people will start to move to other methods of communication that are almost impossible to snoop into. You may be able to tap into a phone conversation. How are you going to tap into people talking to each other on FaceTime? Actually, Skype also, how are you going to sit and snoop on that? How are you going to snoop on WhatsApp messages? Some of these, and then you don't even talk about things like Telegram and so on and so forth, which are almost by their very nature impervious to anybody being able to snoop on. So is it also partly something which is going to be very difficult to implement, Sandeep?
I don't think so. You know, it's stretching it too far, saying income tax commissioner will be busy looking at who is talking to whom in Skype, who is sending email to whom, all of that, and doing that all day. He has much better things to do, I'm sure, in his life. So we shouldn't stretch it. It will be monitored if somebody has been pinpointed by the security agencies. Otherwise, nobody is going to just pick up randomly anybody and start listening what he or she is writing or talking to anybody.
Okay, I'm glad you're sure about that. I'm not sure everyone is. Kandika, you were trying to say something. Answer me on the technical issue of this, because technically, it's perfectly possible in 2018. Actually, it's been technically possible for the last 4 or 5 years to do all sorts of VoIP conversations, routed. So actually, the genuine terrorists are probably not likely to be talking to somebody by picking up a landline or a mobile phone and dialing a call.
Correct. You see, the problem is there's a lot of criminal activity happening online. A lot of it is in the dark web. and the VoIP platforms are being misused by a lot of terrorists also, and a lot of people who we try to trace, and it's very difficult because of the proxy servers, or for that matter of fact there are onion routing methods, there are softwares to hide your IP, and that's becoming a real challenge for investigators, and that's the reason why this law is essential, that you need to have. But then how much of it will be implementable is something we need to see, because with the technical tools available to cyber criminals, is interception really going to go on to that level? Especially in cases of proxy servers and onion routings, it's very difficult to find where a particular video or a particular message is being sent or uploaded from. So that's definitely a challenge for all law enforcement across the globe. It's not just India, it's everywhere.
We in India, governments in India never give speaking orders. They just pass orders, they never explain the background, they never explain why they're passing an order. I just want to know, what is the provocation for this government to come out with this order today? I mean, all the stuff that Kanika is talking about has been happening for a long time.
Let me throw that to Vineet.
Why?
Okay, Vineet. Can I get Vineet in the... we haven't been able to go to Vineet at all so far.
What has happened now that has suddenly made this such a big issue?
Okay, Vineet, let me get you in right now. Why now is what Aarti is asking, and I'm asking a slightly different question. In 2018, all of this snooping more likely to be used, I suspect, to control political opponents and the others, rather than, I mean, the ISI would probably be able to find a way to get around a lot of this.
We have seen what has happened in
Vineet, can I just get
we have
Vineet
seen
in?
what has
Yeah.
happened in the
years
US
of me being on
with
the
the
show.
elections.
Yeah,
So
Vineet, can I get, Kanika, please can I get Vineet in? Yeah,
this
Vineet,
is
carry on.
because of that.
Madam, 33 minutes I've been listening, ma'am.
Yeah,
Please.
Vineet.
Madam, I've been listening for 33 minutes and 8 rounds. At least now have a courtesy to listen to me, please. If you want me to just listen to the show, I can do that. I have no problem. I have a lot of patience, ma'am.
Okay, Vineet, we have gone to you. Yeah, answer.
I can learn and go back.
Vineet, answer, please.
Vikram, you have any questions for me after 35 minutes?
Yes, I'm asking you, Vineet. I'm asking you.
Because 35 minutes I've been just listening.
Right, so we are asking you right now.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Vineet, I'm asking, sorry, I'm trying to ask you this question. Vineet, tell me something. Why was this done right now? And is it something that can be bypassed easily?
Rather, my question will be, Vikram, rather my question right now are, why it was done now? Why it was not done in 2009? On 27th October 2009, the CCTNS was passed by the then government, because they felt it was necessary. I would like to rather ask a question to Manmohan Singh ji, why did he put the entire country for risks? 2009 to 2014, and I also would like to ask my own friends there, why did they wait till 2018? Should have been done in 2009 itself. And I also have one more question to Jaivir ji. You remember the famous Radia tapes where we heard voice of Ratan Tata ji? Under what provisions he was done? Whether he was an anti-national, whether Radia was anti-national, whether she was a drug smuggler, what was the case then? Under what provisions she was, surveillance was done and the tapes were made in public? So that question Manmohan Singh ji's answer. Rather, I would like to congratulate the current Home Secretary who narrowed the scope of surveillance. He has narrowed it to only 10 people, the 10 agencies. Right now, they were giving it to random anybody. NTR would have done it. Now, NTR's name is not there. CERT's name is not there. There are many other agencies whose names are not there. So I would like to congratulate them that they have done it very nicely. I would like to rather ask a question to UPA. 2009 अक्टूबर 27 को आपने CCTNS पास किया था, क्या हो गया था? 5 साल तक आपने क्यों नहीं उसको फॉलो अप किया? So one more thing, central monitoring system came in 2011. That was again the UPA era. And let us not forget Telegraph Act 1885. So the state nation always had the rights. Here rather I see that they have given up the right and they have narrowed the thing only to the 10 agencies. And who have to worry about it? Smugglers, anti-national elements, people who are threat to the integrity of the nation. You and I have nothing to lose, Vikram. We don't deal anything which is illegal. You pay your taxes. Rather, I will not be surprised if you have not taken your refunds back. So you are the people who are the most law-abiding citizens. You don't have to worry about this. This is to be worried by people who are into business which damages this country's integrity. Rather, I have not understood why Amar Singh was snooped upon. Why the book is that time, because till that was done, till Amar Singh was found to be guilty or Radia was to be found to be guilty. What made that time's dispensation to record them and then to make the tapes public? We had as honorable as Ratan Tata's voice in that tape.
Okay, let me ask Javeer, answer what he said.
I think in the anxiety and the anxiousness to congratulate the BJP government on this draconian law, my gentleman forgot to read the Supreme Court judgment opening page. The same argument was made. This is the concept of an elite. Only smugglers should be worried. Supreme Court said no. We are creating a constitutional firewall between the citizens and the state to prevent the state from crossing over the wall and do this. I did not interrupt you, now listen to me. Did not.
Please tell me.
Number one. So first read the Supreme Court judgment. Okay, you can shout.
Record Meera Radia.
I can answer.
Can I complete my answer?
Today, was she an anti-national?
Can I complete? I know BJP camp has a habit of shouting. Number two, you should read.
Why did you record?
Don't mislead NDTV viewers without reading. Read the October 2009 guideline, a 23-page guideline which defines what is encryption, which defines what is monitoring, gives you prohibition guidelines. Number two, read Supreme Court judgment on telephone tapping guidelines. The one-page order today has demolished a 547-page judgment. By using one word, any computer, UP had a 23-page guideline defining each and every step. The reason is this tyrannical and a dictatorial government is not able to digest the defeat.
Okay, let me
read judgments and guidelines, then speak.
Can I just step back from the politics before getting into second? Just answer this point.
So I can answer Vinitji's thing.
Yeah.
Why was Ms. Radia put under surveillance? Because the law allows it. And the same law still allows that. For example, the surveillance was carried out by CBDT and CBDT is in that list. And CBDT still has that power. It always had the power. It still has that power. And everybody is forgetting a key line in both the telephone tapping and email interception is along with national security, they also have a vague term called in anticipation of commission of any offense. So that any offense allows any income tax.
So you're saying these draconian powers have always been there?
Always been there.
So Javeer, answer him now. These powers have always been there.
No, but Vinitji, I also want to clarify Vinitji. Vinitji is wrong because CBDT had the power then, CBDT has the power now and it's still in the list. And it was never given to more than these 10 agencies. It's actually 9 plus 1 agency. They always existed right from 1996 when the PUCL versus Union of India judgment, and they continue to exist now. And the problem is that this obfuscation is what is creating this, because no government really wants to examine the facts. I'll tell you why Ratan Tata's voice was there, because the interception was of Ms. Neera Radia, which was completely legally done, and if a person is put under surveillance, whoever is speaking to that person will automatically come under surveillance. And if you hear the conversations where they're talking about how to fix a Madras High Court judgment or how to, incite riots, it is all there. It is all there in the Radia tapes, and I know it because I brought out those Radia tapes. So therefore, I know what I am talking about. It was legally done, and it is upheld by the Supreme Court of India, sir.
Okay. Let me just get some of the others in. Okay. Kanika, hang on. Let's just try and get the legality of this correct. Saikat is very clearly saying nothing which is being, the same people have the powers to tap now as having it earlier. So I'm now getting somewhat bemused, because if that's what Saikat is saying, Javeer is saying, no, that's not the case. It's Big Brother which has come out here. What's the actual facts on the matter? You can sometimes argue about implications, but surely we should know what the facts are.
Yes. Can I answer the question?
Yes.
You see, when we have the phone tapping issue, it's the same as, the same principles of law also apply in this cyberspace domain. It's nothing different. When we talk about phone tapping being illegal based on no reasonable basis, similar equations also apply in the online space. There's nothing different there. The law, the bracket of law, IT Act and the rules framed thereunder, but the notions and the principles ought to be the same, and the implementation, the spirit of the Act has to be followed. The moment there is a violation of that and there is an element of arbitrariness or unbridled fettered discretion possible, it becomes subject to constitutional challenge, and definitely, right to privacy being invaded. This has to be tested on those anvils. I mean, this anvil of these principles,
non-political,
and they apply equally whether in the offline world or the online world.
Okay,
immaterial of the platform that we are talking about.
Okay, I'm just trying to get final thoughts from everybody on this, and I move to Chhattisgarh and Bhupen.
One small point, tell me something. How will I know that my computer is being intercepted or my phones are being intercepted? I mean, I won't know. So then how do I challenge it? How do I challenge it and say that my right to privacy has been affected? I mean, it's a bizarre argument being offered by, Karnik. I don't understand.
How do you know? Sorry.
You have absolutely zero protection. In fact, the world's biggest surveillance program is actually running in India, and they call it the Aadhaar program, which is actually a huge surveillance program. You have NatGrid. Nobody wants to talk about
that. Pavan, I'm just going to get final thoughts from everybody. Pavan, I mean, look, Saket is saying governments have done this before. Same 10 agencies had the powers earlier. So obviously, we can play as much politics around this as possible, but surely as citizens we need to know what the long-term answer to this is going to be.
Mr. Nitish Kumar was put under surveillance.
I think that
he just informed us that Nitish Kumar has been put under surveillance.
Governments have always done this. Whether you've had a legal framework or not, our intelligence agencies have often, without even, I'm saying this as a matter of surmise, but I'm almost certain about it. And many people who know that there's no backing know that they are being tapped. Who know that there's no official sanction for that tapping know they are being tapped. So I'm not getting into that. All governments do it. All I'm saying is that I look upon this as from the point of view of a citizen. Is access to this huge database with the very advanced data processors we have, is there a silent intrusion into my private domain, much of which is actually unwarranted snooping? I understand that India is in one of the most troubled regions of the world, and national security cannot be marginalized or ignored. But I think there should be due checks and balances, and what this ordinance has done is to institutionalize, in my view, what has been going on for a very long time in any case.
All right, Vineet, final thought just from you. I have to end this right now. I have to go across to the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh. So, Vineet, final thought from you. Politically, could this be a landmine?
Innocent citizens need not worry. The worry is only for the people who are doing it. Two, congratulations to the government who narrowed the scope. Earlier it was free for all. Now they have narrowed it. They have fixed the responsibilities. There are checks and balances. There is a transparent process. Very, very responsible people have come in place right now. So that's the second thing. And third, earlier government has to answer why respectful Ratan Tata was heard by common citizens talking to somebody else without his knowledge. That's only, I don't think so the provisions were properly applied that way.
All right, look, we're going to go on debating this, I promise you, for months and months and months, and we'll see how this is going to actually factor in. Politically, from the point of view of the road to 2019, yes, I think Aarti hit the nail on it, that yes, this is one of the things that is going to be used to say this is the government that is not worrying about privacy and worrying about people's rights and is dictatorial. We'll see how that shapes up. I'm going to slip into a very quick break. On the other side, the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, the new Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, we're going to talk to him about farm loan waivers and a lot else. That's on the other side of this. This is the road to 2019, and at these assembly elections, perhaps one of the most stunning results that actually came out was in Chhattisgarh, state that the BJP has won 3 times in a row, and this time a landslide victory for the Congress party. We may well become an important milestone in the road to 2019. So joining us now, it's a pleasure to have with us the new Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Mr. Bhupesh Baghel. Baghel जी, बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद, आप हमारे साथ इस कार्यक्रम में हैं। हम आपसे पूछना चाह रहे थे कि अब आपने मुख्यमंत्री पद का भार संभाला है, अगले 100-200 दिन में आपकी क्या प्रायोरिटीज होंगी, आप क्या करने की सोच रहे हैं?
पहली बात तो यह है कि हमारे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष राहुल जी ने कहा था कि हम 10 दिन के अंदर कर्जा माफ़ी करेंगे और उसको हमने पहले 2 घंटे में हमने कर दिया है। ये भी हम लोगों ने जनता से वादा किया था कि हम समर्थन मूल्य के अलावा प्रोत्साहन राशि मिला के किसानों के धान को 25 रुपये क्विंटल में खरीदेंगे, वो भी हमने फैसला ले लिया है। तीसरा, झीरम घाटी में जो हमारे नेताओं का नरसंहार किया गया था छत्तीसगढ़ में, नंद कुमार पटेल और विद्याचरण शुक्ल, महेंद्र कर्मा, उदय मुदलियार सहित 29 लोगों की मौत हुई थी, उसकी जांच अभी भी अधूरा रहा है और उसके लिए हमने SIT गठन कर दिया है।
भूपेश जी, ये जो कर्जा माफी की जो आपने बात की, ये जाहिर है सही है कि किसानों पे काफी दुख आजकल का सामना करना पड़ रहा है, पर उसका पैसा कहां से आएगा? क्योंकि जो 7,000-8,000 करोड़ रुपए हैं उसको छत्तीसगढ़ सरकार वो पैसा कहां से लाएगी?
पैसे 2 तरीके से, एक तो कर्जा लेके, दूसरा ये है कि खर्चों में कटौती करके जो अनाप शनाप जो खर्चे किए जा रहे थे तो उनको उसमें कटौती किया जाए और उससे राज्य के राजकोष में जो संचित राशि है उसका सही उपयोग करके इसे हम लोग मीट आउट करेंगे।
पर आपको नहीं लगता है कि शायद किसानों के लिए कर्जा माफी तो ठीक है, पर कोई लॉन्ग टर्म कदम उठाने चाहिए MSP को लेकर, या यूनिवर्सल बेसिक इनकम की जो बात चल रही है, ना किसी तरह किसानों के कर्जे तो माफ कितनी बार आप कर पाएंगे?
देखिए, स्वामीनाथन कमेटी की जो रिपोर्ट है वो लागत मूल्य से 1.5 गुना में सपोर्ट प्राइस होना चाहिए और उसके हिसाब से यदि धान की खेती में भी देखें तो उसकी कीमत होना चाहिए 2500 रुपया। केंद्र सरकार के ये अधिकार क्षेत्र में है MSP का निर्धारण करना, लेकिन उन्होंने केवल 1750 रुपये किया है और उसे ही जो अंतर की राशि है उसको हमने प्रोत्साहन राशि के रूप में दिया है। दूसरी बात यह है कि मैं ये बिल्कुल इस बात से सहमत हूँ कि कर्ज माफी कोई आखिरी निदान नहीं है। इसके लिए हम लोगों को कोई योजना, ठोस योजना किसानों के बीच ले जाना पड़ेगा, गांव में ले जाना पड़ेगा और उसको हम लोगों ने नारा के रूप में दिया है, छत्तीसगढ़ के 4 चिन्हारी, नरवा गरवा घुरवा बारी, इला बचाना है संगवारी। मतलब किसानों के सिंचाई की व्यवस्था हमको करना है। जो मवेशी, जो पशुधन है वो कभी किसानों के अर्थव्यवस्था में सहायक हुआ करता था, वो आज बोझ बन चुका है। तीसरा, हम जैविक खाद का उपयोग कम कर रहे हैं, गोबर से जैविक खाद ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बनाएं ताकि रासायनिक खाद और दवाइयों की निर्भरता हमारी कम हो और इससे कृषि लागत कम करें ताकि किसानों के लाभ ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा हो। ये हमारा दूसरा एजेंडा होगा जिसे हम बहुत तेज़ी से इसको लागू करेंगे।
ठीक है भूपेश जी, अगर अब हम ध्यान लोकसभा चुनाव की तरफ अगर हम लगाएं तो पिछले 3 बार भाजपा को 11 में से 10 सीटें मिली हैं। 2019 में आपको क्या लगता है क्या होने वाला है?
विधानसभा में हम 3/4 सीट जीते हैं, 90 में से 68 सीट हमारी है। अब हमारा जो लक्ष्य है वो छत्तीसगढ़ में लोकसभा में 100% हम सीट जीते हैं, मतलब 11 में से 11 सीट जीतने का हमारा लक्ष्य है।
नहीं, पर कुछ लोगों का यह कहना हो सकता है कि विधानसभा चुनाव में काफी लोकल वजह थी जिनकी वजह से रमन सिंह जी की हार हुई है। 2019 में छत्तीसगढ़ में भी लोगों के सामने नरेंद्र मोदी जी आएंगे और कहेंगे कि मुझे प्रधानमंत्री बनाओ।
देखिए, हम लोगों ने जब फील्ड में जब हम लोग गए, आम जनता के बीच में गए, तो हम राज्य सरकार की नाकामी और केंद्र सरकार की नाकामी के बारे में लगातार जानकारी देते रहे। जितना यहाँ रमन सिंह अलोकप्रिय है उतना ही नरेंद्र मोदी जी भी अलोकप्रिय हो चुके हैं। नोटबंदी हो, चाहे GST हो, चाहे शौचालय में भ्रष्टाचार हो, वो सारे मुद्दे जो सारे कदम जो उन्होंने उठाए हैं उसका हम लोगों ने जनता के बीच में उसके जो दुष्प्रभाव है उसको लगातार हम लोग प्रसारित करते रहे हैं। तो आप लोकसभा विधानसभा चुनाव में आप देखेंगे विज्ञापनों में, होर्डिंग में रमन सिंह का चेहरा बड़ा होता था और नरेंद्र मोदी और अमित शाह के चेहरे बहुत छोटे होते थे, उसके फोटो बहुत छोटे रहे। तो वो तो करीब करीब विधानसभा चुनाव में अमित शाह और नरेंद्र मोदी जी पोस्टर से गायब हो चुके थे। तब जब विधानसभा में उसके पोस्टर गायब हो गए थे तो लोकसभा में तो फिर गायब होना ही है
जी। अच्छा, विधानसभा चुनाव में आपका भाजपा बहुजन समाज पार्टी के साथ कोई गठबंधन नहीं था। 2019 में क्या होगा, लोकसभा चुनाव में क्या होगा? क्या आप समझते हैं कि शायद बहुजन समाज पार्टी के साथ आप किसी न किसी तरह एक गठबंधन बना पाएंगे?
देखिए, उनका वोट प्रतिशत इस समय और घटा है। पिछले समय 4% था, इस समय 3.5% हो गया है। और हम लोग उस समय भी विधानसभा में बातचीत कर ही रहे थे कि वो अचानक जोगी से अपना अलायंस घोषित कर दिया और वो जो बातचीत चल रही थी वो तोड़ दिए। यदि राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे कोई समझौता होता है तो मैं उसमें कुछ नहीं कहूँगा, लेकिन यहाँ छत्तीसगढ़ स्तर पे समझौता करने की कोई आवश्यकता नहीं है।
ठीक है, भूपेश बघेल जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अब हमारे साथ थे। So that was the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, essentially saying that he is going to work for long-term plans for the farmers, not just farm loan waivers only. He seemed to believe that the Congress party is going to win in Chhattisgarh handsomely. Remember, the BJP won 10 out of 11 the last 3 times. If he's right, it could make a distinct difference. Not saying he needs the Bahujan Samaj Party support in Chhattisgarh in the Lok Sabha elections, but he said if it's happening at the national level, well, then who knows, it could extend to Chhattisgarh as well. Lots for us to think about there on the road to 2019.